relevant even with a college. In a college setting, I know with Hack, we are moving more and more onto the online format of just having more information available on the website so that everyone has access to it. Actually, our phone system is atrocious, and so that's probably a good thing that we have more things online because it's harder to call in anyway. However, we do have a lot of things on the website. We do utilize Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a fan page. We encourage students or prospective students to join our fan page to learn more information about the college, to get updates if the college is closed. If you're a current student, or if there's a special registration event or recruitment event going on, we heavily utilize that and Twitter to keep in contact with the community and with those who do follow Hack or are interested in attending Hack. More of our professors that are teaching the classes, they may interact with students online in various online formats. They may keep in touch with their students in that manner. So that just opens up a very broad way of reaching all of our students, not just in one format, but also in a format that most people are becoming more comfortable with, which is to interact online.
Foot here. My goodness, this is a dangerous panel. On a personal note, I have to admit I'm not using Facebook. I've made a personal decision, at least to this part of my personal life, not to kind of expose myself. And I think for me it's been a work-life balance, because I think most of the time I feel like I'm so on all the time in talking to people during the day that for me it's a little bit too much, and I get burnt out if I think I'm going to go home and also be telling people what I ate last night. And I know it's more than that. But for me, there's just no interest for me at this point. But I'll tell you where I have had a real great experience, and I've only just begun to scratch the surface, is really within the LinkedIn community. Again, because I'm trying to build myself out there as a disability expert, certainly to individuals when I'm doing my ahead type work, and when I'm also trying to connect with those disability experts and connect with those businesses who are seeking more information about how to integrate disability into part of their diversity strategies. This has really been a wonderful tool for me to kind of get myself out there. When they talked earlier about joining groups, that's one of the ways I've used LinkedIn. After I put my profile up, I started searching for human resource groups. Typically they're one of the gateways into many businesses. So I tried to join what I thought were some of the key ones. One, just to maybe go in and be an observer and listen and see what it is that companies are talking about in general, not just about things that are completely disability related. Certainly that helps me to be a little bit more well-rounded coming from a human service side of things. I certainly don't want people to think I just fell off the pumpkin truck and don't know what business is up against. So that's really kind of helped me to kind of frame out what are the important issues for companies. It's also been a great way for me to throw out questions to see if I can get discussions going. I think the one I just posted the other day was, I think it was something about, just a brief thing about assistive technology in one particular area I was in, just saying, hey, do people know that there's assistive technology out there that can help people with disabilities be successful and productive in the workplace? And I just gave a link to a particular article that was online that was somewhat of a guide for businesses. Now, I did that within the group for TechQuest, which is the Central Pennsylvania Technology Council. So I don't know how successful that's going to be, but I figured within that group, why not throw out something technology related that reflects back to people with disabilities and see if I can get people to pay attention to me and maybe. And then what's nice is you can also go on and see how many people have looked at your profile recently to kind of see whether or not what you're doing is really reaching anybody. How many people are digging in to know that who you are. There are folks who certainly have met at meetings who have connected with me afterwards. The nice thing is that working with businesses, especially people in human resources, they tend to jump from company to company a lot. And I tend to sometimes in the past lose my champions that have been really helpful. So LinkedIn has allowed me to, no matter where those folks are currently working, LinkedIn allows me to stay connected with them. So normally when you're just going to email somebody, you may get a lot of returned emails that bounce back, and then you're thinking, well, how in the world do I find them now? I had a recent situation where I had that happen. I wasn't getting responses. So I thought, I want to go on LinkedIn and see where Ava's working right now. And I'll be darned, didn't know it. Ava never told me, but Ava moved companies. So now I know where she's working, and I know not to keep beating my head against the wall going to that same company. So that's just a glimpse into how I've utilized it. I've also tried to find people in companies that maybe I want to connect to. Maybe there's a company that's in a different industry that I'd like to really try to develop that expertise in. So I'll just go online and see who is all on LinkedIn that works for that company and see if I can find a mutual friend that's already connected to them. And then I can get that mutual friend to go ahead and introduce me and do an invite to connect, which is really helpful because usually you can have a lot of people ignore you, just like you can have a lot of people ignore you on Facebook and not want to friend you in that environment. But this kind of gives me a pathway in sometimes to get connected to people I need to know. So that's hopefully at least a glimpse of how I've been using it to connect with businesses. Anybody else? Yes?
I just have one thing to say. Do I look like a guy that's on Facebook? Huh? We do. CAP does have a Facebook page. You're welcome to join us on that. We also have a website. But most of the communication that I have telephone conversations. We use Skype, and we use our I'm very seldom on my Facebook page, although I do look at what people say. I thought I was going to be giving a little presentation about CAP and what we do, and also about OVR, which is not really apropos, I don't think, for this. But if I could just, if you could just bear with me for a second. I'm sorry. Hold this. Would anybody? First off, how many people here are familiar with OVR, the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation? Okay. How many people are familiar with the Pennsylvania Client Assistance Program, CAP? And I'm sure that most of you who put your hands up are have utilized or are utilizing their services presently. The Client Assistance Program is administered by our Public Law Center in Philadelphia, the Center for Disability and Employment Rights. We just changed our name, or we're in the process of changing our name from the Center for Disability Law and Policy to the Center for Disability and Employment Rights. The law firm, in addition to administering the CAP program, does other things such as Social Security, Title I ADA, assisting disabled veterans by helping secure VA benefits, and helping disabled incarcerated prisoners with various issues affecting them. The purpose of the Client Assistance Program is to advise, advocate, and inform persons with disabilities in Pennsylvania of the services and benefits available to them under the Rehabilitation Act and with claims under the Title I of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Programs that CAP can assist you with are state vocational rehabilitation agencies, supported employment programs, centers for independent living, projects with industry, and community rehabilitation programs. Programs that CAP does not cover are Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, special education, and fair housing. We have two offices. There are four of us that are statewide advocates. We advocate in all 67 counties here in Pennsylvania. And our main office is in Philadelphia. There are three attorney advocates down there. Steve Pennington, Esquire, is the executive director of the program. Jamie Ray Leonetti and Margaret Passio McKenna are both attorney advocates. I have an office here at the Sill, which I love, and I'm a senior advocate. I'm not an attorney, so if anybody has anything against attorneys, they can, Okay, together we advocate in all 67 counties in PA, and CAP services, all CAP services are free. OVR. Vocational rehabilitation services help people with disabilities prepare for and engage in gainful employment. Vocational rehabilitation services help you reach a vocational goal which is consistent with your strengths, resources, priorities, concerns, abilities, capabilities, interests, and informed choice. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is the federal law that requires each state to establish vocational rehabilitation programs. The Rehabilitation Services Administration, RSA, is the federal agency that oversees the state VR programs. Under the law, the goals of Voc Rehab are independence, you make your own decisions, self-management, you decide what you need, self-advocacy, you speak up for yourself, and employment, doing valued work for pay. The Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, OVR, provides vocational rehabilitation services in Pennsylvania. As every state has a rehabilitation program, every state also has a CAP program, and that goes for the territories as well. The services of OVR include counseling and guidance, training and placement, as well as a wide variety of other services which might assist a person in getting and keeping a job. You're eligible for services if you have a disability that creates a substantial impediment to employment and you require vocational rehabilitation services to prepare for, secure, retain, and regain employment. A roadmap through the rehab process is application, assessments, evaluations, eligibility, ineligibility, individualized plan for employment, IPE, services, employment, post-employment services, and case closure. That's the sequence. There are 21 OVR offices throughout the Commonwealth. 15 are the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation, and 6 are the Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services. The Hiram G. Andrews Center is in Johnstown. That's also run by the OVR, and the OVR Central Office in Harrisburg. OVR customers have the right to appeal, and CAP can help with those appeals. Any OVR counselor with which you disagree. CAP can file an appeal, can help file an appeal. And step one, this is a step one in the steps in the hearing process. Step one is a request for a hearing. Step two is mediation. Step three is impartial hearing. And step four is review of impartial hearing decisions. CAP, just want to say that CAP is not a part of OVR. Some people may think we are, but we're not a part of OVR. So, thank you very much.
I was just curious, you work with deaf clients often or hard of hearing. What's the most common issue that CAP deals with?
The most common issue? Actually,
with deaf and hard of hearing.
With deaf and hard of hearing? Personally, I have about 3 or 4 over the course of my time, deaf and hard of hearing people. That's it.
And how many years?
But that's not saying that I'm not sure what our Philadelphia office has.
So for how many years have you been doing?
I've been doing this for about 7.5 years.
7.5.
Mm-hmm.
So only 3?
About 4 or 5, half a dozen maybe at the most.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yes.
Did you say 7.5 years?
Yes. Any other questions?
I just had a comment. UBR helped me to get my first
Mhm.
10 years ago. So I just found out about the program through word of mouth, and I was able to get $4,000 AIDS before 10 years ago. I was just out of college, so it's a great program.
OVR, it is a very good program, an excellent program. Any other questions? Yes.
I was just wondering, if the person is having problems holding a job or not upgrading on a job, can OVR help you even though you have a job? Like, suppose you have a job that's $7.25 an hour and there's nothing around that you can upgrade, go up. Can OVR step in trying to give you?
In the same company or getting a different position? Trying to get another job?
Of the same pay?
Of the same pay? You could talk to your counselor about that. I mean, your counselor should be able to offer some type of assistance in providing information on where you may be able to gain other employment, or where you'll be able to move up the proverbial ladder.
It just seems like, like I have an OVR. I take it as like, she looks at me like, as long as I'm working, it doesn't matter whether you're happy at your job or whether as long as I'm working, their job is done.
Well, you can...
And I just feel like, they just don't give out enough to trying to get people. No wonder we can't hold jobs very long, because we're just not moving.
You're just not moving
Yeah.
up. Okay. I would. You have other options too. You can go to the career links. I mean, you can take a look at the career links, become a member there, and take a look at the job postings that they have daily. If you have questions about a certain job or specific that you need specific information from your counselor should be able to provide that to you. I mean, if you made an appointment with your counselor, sat down and said, "Hey, these are a couple of the jobs that I'm looking at, but I'm not really quite sure how I should go about doing it," then I would definitely talk to them. They should be able to help, or at least they should be able to point you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. Last question, please.
Go ahead, please.
Even though you said that you only worked with 3 or 4,
I know you said that you've only worked with 3 or 4 deaf people over your 7.5-year tenure. Are there any recurring issues that continue to pop up in the workplace between the deaf and the hearing, or in that type of environment? Do you see a recurring theme?
The only thing that I had recurring was hearing aids. There was a hearing aid issue, and OVR can certainly provide those to you if you're working. I haven't had any problems with a client getting your hearing aids when they need it.
I think we should let a deaf person answer that. See what their experience has been. Because I used to be a caseworker for the deaf, and I remember the issues, and I think maybe a deaf person would probably give us better insight on some of those issues. Does anyone have anything to share? I thought that perhaps the deaf person would have better experience, but when I was a caseworker for the deaf, I know that the big issue was not getting interpreters. Interpreters were not called for assurances, or they'll say, "Oh, just let their friend knows a little bit of sign language. We'll let them tell them what's going on with your insurance and your 401k." And that's not appropriate. So
Yes, I
I
can sit
think
down.
something I do is I go into the workplace and I tell them these issues are not acceptable and you need to hire an interpreter, and also teach them a little bit about deaf culture. And that just because someone can sign a little bit doesn't mean that they should be used as an interpreter. And just what it's like to, work with a deaf person, and where there's a lot of similarities. really in my experience is, it's just that they can't hear.